Street cred sports. Street cred sports. I'm crossing over. I'm Euro stepping.
Hello, this is Keenan of Street Cred Sports Training, and welcome to another episode of Time to Ball. This is episode 74. Apologies about last week. I thought I was going to be able to do a podcast, and then life and stuff got in the way. I think I mentioned a few episodes back, I don't know how long ago, that I pull my groin, and it is just lingered. It's like I get healthy, I'm feeling good, and then I don't know if I turn a little too fast or something, but then I get a setback. So you got to really take care of yourself, and I've actually I am taking steps. As soon as this is 100% healed, I'm hoping this will be the last time I have to deal with it, because I'm going to put myself on a real tough regimen, because it really sucks to be, injured the way I am when I'm training. Like, the kids and the parents are feeling bad for me because, if the ball misses or it rolls somewhere, it takes me like forever to stop, turn, pivot, and then walk over to the ball and then bend down. Hell, by the time I done got the ball and got back up, 20 minutes done been away. Then passed. So they like, look, man, we're going to help you out because you charging us, and we spending more time watching your hurt ass walk around trying to get the ball. So I felt better. And like I said, I don't really know what it was I did. Actually I do. We bought I don't know if I had never really heard of it. It's called a vibration plate. And it's, it's supposed to be good for muscle toning and exercises and stuff like that. Well, I had the bright idea to say, hey, you know what? It strengthens your hips. You can work your glutes. So, but you have to sit on it and do it. So that was the bright idea I did. And I believe that's what happened, because afterwards, that next day and I could feel it, where I was having the pain. I could feel it as it was moving. So I think that's what actually happened to set me back. So it's just one of those things. And I know I'm getting older, so I can't move and shift the way I used to, but I was feeling really good prior to this injury. So I just make sure I take, steps to keep myself on the court and not injured, because, the kids and the parents, they depend on me. Now, I'm still able to do the training, showing them, doing stuff at a slower pace, kind of walking through a little bit more. But it's not the way I like to train. So I'm giving them I tell them I'm giving them my C game, but my C game is stronger than a lot of people's A game when it comes to training. So they're still getting a lot out of it and growing, but I want to be a lot more active. So we'll see how that goes coming up. So I hope everybody's doing well. It's been a little bit cooler, and I am in the process of making some major changes and add additions to what we do that will probably be spectacular. So, once it's official, I'll probably make an announcement on here for those who listen to the podcast to understand, the different things and directions and stuff that I'm going with the training. So stay tuned. This portion is sponsored by 915 Carpet Cleaning. They take care of all of your needs, whether it's residential or commercial, whether it's flooring or carpet. 915 Carpet Cleaning, they get the job done. Look up 915 Carpet Cleaning, the carpet cleaner before you need one. I kind of like that. Stay tuned. All right, so look, let's get into some stuff. This won't be a long podcast. I didn't want to go too long today. So let me get into things that interest me. I want to talk about the USA basketball team. Now, this is just with my eyes when I'm watching. I remember seeing, certain Olympic teams. I don't know if this one and I don't know if this USA team has the temperament to destroy teams like the 92 Olympic team. The Dream Team is what they were called. I don't know. I don't know now. Okay, on one hand, you'll say, well, there are more NBA players today playing on these, Olympic teams like in Serbia, Germany, France, Canada, you name it. There's a plethora. I ain't had an SAT word in a while. Plethora. There's just so many players on multiple teams, and not just one NBA player. On a lot of these teams, you have 2, sometimes 4 that are either current NBA players or players who were in the NBA for a few years. Maybe they were role players, or maybe they didn't come off the bench. They didn't play as much, but they're still considered NBA players. And I believe back in '92, I think the number was 5. I think 5 NBA players that were in the Olympics on other teams. So there was a large disparity. But the way the Dream Team played was different. It was so competitive, and here's why I think it was so competitive. They practiced against each other, right? They wanted to see who was the best, right? Jordan wanted to show up Clyde. Barkley and Malone wanted to go at it. Ewing and David Robinson wanted to go at it. So they were competitive throughout practices. And that is what I think made the games such a travesty for those other teams, because they were still so much in competitive mode where they were in a destroy mode. And, they're going at each other really hard. Now they're in the games and they're going at these other poor teams like they're going at each other still. That's the way I saw it. And even you hear some of the documentary, and you'll hear them kind of allude to it, like they wanted to destroy everybody, which is kind of what you want. This team, you can make a case that this team, top to bottom, is probably more talented than the 92 team in some areas. I don't know. I mean, I think they match up really well with everybody, but hey, that's one of those things that you could argue. But this team is kind of they're cool. Hey, we'll win, but we're not trying. We don't care to destroy or anything like that. Now, one thing that they do now that I don't believe they did back in '92 was have all of these friendly games. It was, back in '92, I think they just scrimmaged the USA team. They came out. They might have played a game or two, but I want to say they didn't do all of the stuff that they're doing now, where they're playing the team pretty much from their pool. And, sometimes you got to kind of wonder if, maybe USA's kind of playing possum with some of these teams. They're not showing everything. They're still trying to get used to everybody, right? Because, there's, you don't know. There are multiple times where you've seen turnovers where it was, they thought, Embiid thought Curry was going to be here, but Curry was there, right? So he throws it here and Curry's there, and it's a turnover. Those type of things. That's kind of a playing together type thing. But the energy, in the sense of, no, we are going to, we destroying y'all. We not playing. I don't feel that when I'm watching them play. When they play a couple of teams, there are spurts where they do it, and it's almost like they just hey, okay, we'll turn it on, turn it up, and then go. But on the defensive end, that need to just let these guys know, yeah, man, you might be good over there, dog, but you ain't ready for the league. And then the ones that are playing that are from the league, they might be more bench players. They might not really play as much. You should come out with that competitive, I'm about to show you why you don't why you don't get no PT as much on the game. So I know it's some elements of they're not showing as much because I know some of these other teams, they'll do it where they don't show you all that they're going to show you. And then when the Olympics start, then they play a different way and you have to adjust. So I get all of that. I get that the talent is so much more better now than it was in 92. But I'm not. I find it hard to believe that they're not at least 20-point favorites over every team they play. Now, I get the the South Sudan game. They looked like they were unprepared. I think they thought that they were gonna just roll over, and I think they played with that. We'll turn it on. So they were down, then they turned it on. They got up. And then they let their foot off. And then South Sudan came back, and they kept playing hard and contesting everything. And they made certain things a little bit more difficult. Now, USA, couldn't hit side of the barn, which is weird because they got so many shooters. And I think it affects them with the line being a little bit close that they don't shoot where, from the range that they normally do and make these guys run out like they're supposed to, as opposed to kind of hugging the line and shooting from closer, right? So they ended up, close game. LeBron had to hit a bucket at the end to put them up. Then you have Germany. Germany's coming to play. They all talk trash, and basketball is trash talking, but you can kind of tell sometimes with how some of these, foreign teams are talking trash. It's a little bit extra. They probably cursing us out in their native language, and unless you speak 2 or 3 different languages, you don't pick up on what they're saying. So it seems like they're really trying to go. So like when they played Serbia was talking trash and was going at it and stuff. But then they went on a run, and then now they up by 20-something points, and they're pouring it on. Serbia was really submissive at that point. It was like, oh, okay, yeah, no, they're just too good. But they don't always come out with that, we kind of going to destroy you type mentality. And I think that is the biggest reason why they have these lapses, and they have these, situations where they have to play longer. I've always told people, when you get up on a team, let's say you get up on a team and you're up 20 by halftime, right? The first 5 minutes of that second half is probably the most important part of that second half, and will allow you to see if this team is going to scrap and fight, or if they're going to kind of submit and go through the motion. I don't care how hard you play and we play to the buzzer. Yeah, of course you're going to play. But I've seen teams where they come out their first 5 minutes, and if they're doing that first 3 to 5 minutes, they make it interesting. They hit a few baskets. They put a little bit more pressure on you. They make you a little bit more uncomfortable. Now they're going to play hard for at least, most of the game because they feel like they have a chance. But if you come out the second half and you go on an 8-12 nothing run, now instead of 20, you up 30-32, 28-32 points, right? That team, you usually can see in their body language, they're defeated. Like, yeah, man, we're not going to be able to beat this team. We're going to play hard, but I don't think that energy that we brought is going to make much of a difference. They're just that much better than we are, right? And I don't see that. I don't see the USA doing that with that. Okay, we're up 12, except for with Serbia. They did it with Serbia. They started to do it with Canada. They relaxed. Canada got back, right? They did it with Serbia. Obviously, with Germany and South Sudan, they didn't they didn't. They had opportunity with both of them where they kind of stretched it, and it was like they could put the foot on the throat, but they didn't. And because of those things, you end up with a dogfight. So my I don't want to say my analysis, my eyes are telling me that they're just okay. And then obviously I believe you heard LeBron at the end of the game, after the game, hey, you know what, I'd rather have that close game than a blowout. Yeah, okay. I mean, you know the cameras and stuff are there. You know they're gonna pick it up, so that's gonna go out to the world. And yeah, if you were a 1 point favorite, if you're a 1 point favorite against another team that matches up with you that should beat you, I can see you saying that. But everybody's at least, I don't think anybody is less than a 15 point, spread. They're at least 15 points better than any team that they're playing. That's what the spread said. The Sudan spread was 40 points. They were supposed to beat Sudan by 40 points according to the odds, and they ended up only winning by 1. I remember looking at the score, and I was like, huh? And I was like, wait a minute, am I looking at it right? And I had to keep going back and refreshing. I was like, damn, they're losing. Like, I expected that game to be over, especially after you, played a game where you didn't play your best. I thought it was going to be like that. And the rotation, you got guys that can play, but I don't know if they all fit together. Like, Steph is a point guard, but Steph is, they're really needing him to stretch the floor. And then he does his weird passes. He has some electrifying ones, but then he does his thing where he has turnovers, and that's part of it with him. So you got that. Then you have also you got wings that, that everybody's going to score. So a lot of times on their offense, it looks like your turn, my turn. We'll swing the ball a couple of times, but now I got matchup problems. And that's the sad part. Everybody has a matchup problem. Everybody could dominate the person guarding them. There's nobody individually that could guard these guys, but collectively, the way they play defense, the USA doesn't seem to have a feel with how to deal with it sometimes. And it's largely because FIBA is so much different than the NBA with, there's 3-second defensive 3 seconds in the NBA, meaning, unless you're guarding somebody, you can't stand in the lane for more than 3 seconds. You just can't stand there. You have to be guarding your guy. In FIBA, no, you can stand there. You can pretty much zone and just, not guard your guy because you're helping and clogging up the lane. And a lot of these guys are guys that, get their points out slashing, pull up jump shots and stuff, and then they warm up and then boom, right? So I think if they put more emphasis on the defensive end, it would lead to a lot more, takeaways and fast breaks and stuff like that. And then I think you get in more rhythm. But they seem to not be putting a lot of pressure on a lot of these teams on their guards, as far as making it so hard for these guards to get where they need to get, forcing those bigs to come out so much higher to set screens because their guards are having such a hard time getting to the spots to run the offense. You do those things, and now they have to run their offense differently, right? And I've seen it in spurts, little spurts, but I haven't seen it consistently enough. So maybe they're just, playing possum. I tell you what, that next time they play South Sudan, I want to say that's the first game of the Olympics. That's going to tell you. No, I think Serbia and then South Sudan. But the South Sudan game will tell me a lot because, now it means something. Now all of these games count, right? It doesn't count when anybody else loses when they're playing these exhibitions, but if the USA loses, it counts. because we shouldn't lose. So that mentality has to stay there. Like, man, we ain't never losing. We ain't losing to y'all. We never gonna lose a game. We trying to beat y'all so much, so bad that every time the Olympics come, y'all trying to buy y'all way into a different pool. Y'all don't want to be in the same pool. Y'all don't want to. Hey man, we just gonna forfeit and lose 2-0 if we play in the USA. That's gonna be better than them beating us by 40, 50, 60 points. So that's all I really have to say about that. I mean, of course, I enjoy seeing them, but it does frustrate me sometimes when I see them, and it's like they're, like, come on, man. Yeah, they're playing hard. I'm not saying they're not playing hard. It's just sometimes it just doesn't look like the will to, like they want to destroy every team, but they know that, and we can come back at the end and beat a team because we're that much talented. It almost blew up on their face against South Sudan. Almost did. In Germany, even though they lost by they were kind of close. It was kind of neck here and there, but you never got the feel that Germany was going to win that game. At least I didn't. It just seemed like, it was kind of close. It made them feel like they were within striking distance, but yeah, so we'll see what happens. Olympics start, I think, this weekend. All right, so let me get into my basketball ideology. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out how to explain this. Being tough on kids. As trainers, we have to be tough on kids, but we have to have the understanding that when we train them, we're training them with the same uniqueness. So let me try to break this up. All right, being tough. What I mean by tough is our method in which we push the kids. Tough, I don't mean we're come on, dribble a damn ball, make the layups. No, not like that. We're tough on them in different ways. Where like if okay, you kind of you don't I give an example. Kid, a kid will come in. It's kind of like maybe the first or second training. We'll give a kid a break, right? A normal break. It's either 20. Now, right now, with it being hot, we try to give it to him every 15 minutes, because it's not as cool in there. But for the most part, it's either 20-minute or 30. At the 20-minute break or at the 30-minute, we'll give them like a 2 or 3 minute break so they can get some water. So some kids will actually go over, take a sip, and come back on the court, and now they're trying to shoot and dribble and get back in the drill while I'm going in just to get a sip of water and come back out. So a lot of times I have to explain to them, when you take your break, you got to take your break, because if you're taking a sip and you're back out there before I am, what you're telling me is that I'm not pushing you hard enough. And that's one thing I know how to do. So, take your break. So I've had a couple of kids throughout the years. I've had a few kids throughout the years. You give them that. I'm gonna give you a pass because you don't know no better. You go back, you give them a second break, and they're back out there again. Like, man, this ain't nothing. So then I have to go, okay, all right. So then I have to put them through a few different drills that I utilize for conditioning and shooting, where it's, okay, we're going to go from here. You're going to start baseline. You're going to curl in around the elbow, catch and shoot. All right, you got to make 5. It's continuous. Once you shoot, you go back over to the baseline, touch the cone, and come back. You do not stop. You keep going until you make 5. So then I'll do it one side, I'll do it the other side, then I'll make them kind of almost the same drill. Now they're dribbling around the cone for a pull-up jump shot. Okay, and then I'll go into something else, depending on how I feel with making my point. But every single time, they get the message, because now they're tired and they're holding their pants and they're huffing and puffing. And then I have to explain to them, look, this isn't a team practice. So it's not like you take your shot and you go back and you get to wait while the other 9 or 10 kids in front of you go do the same shot. There's no rest time here because it's just you. right? And if I put a certain amount of shots that I need you to make, you got to focus on those, because if I tell you I need six makes, if your shot is off, 6 turns into 40. You're doing this drill 40 times until you make it, and it wears on you. Plus sometimes if you're not where we feel you need to be, we can't go fast. I'm never going to go fast and make a kid go fast through a drill when that kid doesn't really know what the drill is and how to execute. So if it's a catch, two dribble between the legs, dribble, regular layup, but this kid struggles with the between the legs, I can't make him go at a fast pace. I have to make sure the kid understands, and we use that drill to focus on the between the legs, his footwork, where he's placing his foot when he goes through and stuff like that. If that kid knows how to do it, and that his or her dribbling is, pretty good, then yeah, we're going fast pace. Now we get to work on different things. So that's what I mean when I say be tough, because we really know how to get on kids without getting on them. I always tell kids, look, I've told you quite a few times, that you need to do this on this drill. I've told you got to jump on your jump shot. You have chosen to not jump, even after I've tried to tell you why you need to jump and everything. So instead of yelling, this is what happens. You're going to do a rep of 10 right now. Every time you don't jump, every time those feet don't leave the floor, you got to do 10 push-ups. So now you're either going to give me 10 shots, or at some point you could possibly be doing 150 to 100 push-ups if you don't jump. You know what? Threatening kids with push-ups is something else, because those kids really start doing it, especially the ones that don't like to do push-ups. The ones that like to do push-ups, it takes them a little bit longer, but then they have to understand, if they keep missing, if they keep doing it incorrectly, they got to do push-ups. So they might be used to doing maybe 20 push-ups a day, but the thought of having to do 50 to 100, yeah, that's a little like, okay, I'm not trying to do that. So they get their mind right. So that's kind of how it goes when it gets on us. So that's what I mean when I mean, getting tough on them. Now, when I'm going back to the understanding, that we train kids with the same uniqueness. So here's what I mean by that. Every kid that comes in our door is our favorite. So what I mean by that is we don't play favorites. We don't see a kid that like, oh man, this kid might be a Division I player. We got to train this kid with the different type of mindset. There are little quirks that are different that we can do with somebody who's higher level and more determined. But the actual, drill work, the time put in, understanding what we're doing, the essence of that doesn't change for any kid. So there's no kid that can come in and be like, oh, well, you don't train us the way you train that kid. Like, no, that don't happen, because when you're right where that kid is, you're going to be pushed the same way. Now, your training doesn't look like that kid's training because you're not where that kid at. If you're on a beginner level, I can't train you at an advanced level because it's not going to work. But that beginner level is going to be a high level of beginningness. Is that a word? Beginningness? I don't think that's a word. It sounded like a word. It sounded cool. Maybe it just sounded cool to me. Y'all will let me know. Like, man, what the hell you doing up there just making up words? But in any case, we can't go hard with them if they don't know what they're doing, right? So I'm saying all of this to say that ultimately the success of each and every kid that comes through our doors is determined by them. It's not determined by the trainer. It's not determined by the parent. So I don't like for us to take credit unless we're going to take blame. Why do I say that? Yeah, okay. Here's what I mean by that. I'm not going to go and post with the numerous kids throughout the years that we've trained that got college scholarships. right? I'm not gonna say, yeah, this is such and such. She's going, he or she's going to this school to play. Shout out to them. We help make it happen and stuff. Now it seems like we're making it more about us. So if we're gonna do that, then the kids that didn't get a chance to play, didn't get any college scholarships, do we then say, yeah, this is such and such, they didn't get a chance to play college, they didn't make it, they weren't good enough to make a roster, shout out to us? Nah, we're not gonna do that. You're not gonna hear it. And you notice with pretty much every organization. Well, nah, I ain't gonna say that because I don't know them. But a lot of organizations will put out the information on the kids that got signed. But if you think about it, if they have a team of seniors and they have 10 to 12 kids, but they're only announcing for 2 or 3 kids that got signed, well, what about the other 7 to 9 kids? Now obviously you'll have a kid that'll say, well, I don't want to play past high school. But I don't buy that as much, because if you don't want to play past high school, why are you playing on an exposure travel team that's playing to play in front of college coaches? Unless you're trying to say, I just want to see how good I am against other, quote unquote elite talent. But the mind is wired a little bit different, I would think. So, but in any case, if those 7 to 9 kids don't get signed, are you putting that out, right? So the mentality with us has always been, now if somebody signs and they want to add us, to the social media or give us a shout out, yeah, okay, we'll take it. But I always tell them, hey, it wasn't us. It was them. They are the ones that put in the work. We just helped guide them. We played a little part in the process, but they're the ones who executed everything they needed to do, right? And I believe that firmly, because we have kids that we do the same thing with. It's tried, tested, and true model. But those kids don't put in extra time. They don't work on the stuff that they're supposed to work on. They don't try to implement it. They don't follow our 4 steps. They don't do any of that stuff. So then when it comes time for them to, make an impression, they can't make an impression. So then is that our fault? I guess it is in some sense. I have to take responsibility. Maybe there was something more I could have done. Realistically, I know we do so much with what we're doing, but maybe I should have probably had a conversation with them and said, look, if this is not something you want to do, you try something else if this is not what you really want to do. But ultimately, not everybody who comes through our doors are coming in for the same reason. We have kids who are trying to go play past high school, whether it's college or professional. We have some kids who are coming in just because they want to just make their high school team. They only want to play the high school. That's their dream. We have kids who know they might not, or feel that they might not be good enough to play, to, get minutes in games, but they want to just, make the team. They want to be a part of the team, right? Then we have kids who just want to do it because they enjoy the sport, but they don't feel that they'll ever be good enough, to ever play, but they love being able to say that they can play basketball. Maybe they do it with their friends. Then you got some parents who are doing it because they want their kids to stay active and stay out of trouble. So we have to understand that. Now, we're going to train all of them the same way, right? Obviously, you can do more, meaning the ones that are trying to go, further, they're going to work. They tend to work harder and they get better quicker. So then you do more with them, right? You can do more with them. So if that's the difference, then that's the difference. But you're not trying to do, extra stuff just because. It's the process of the training. You end up having to do extra stuff with them. But we go from all ends of the spectrum when it comes to training. But the one thing, the constant that I know with doing this over 20, 25 years is that if they're not working, they're not getting better. they're not going to get better. That's one thing. I've never had a kid. I've never seen somebody. I don't care how naturally talented you are. If you don't pick up a ball and work on your craft in some kind of way, you don't get better. You're going to be the same kid that you were before. And then you're going to start to get frustrated because as the talent level gets better and more complicated and more competitive, your game goes down because you can't sustain and you can't compete with them because they're playing harder and better and all of those type of things. So kids who don't work when they have the time to work on their game, they don't get better. And that's just factual. So if they're not going to get better, then when everything is said and done, we're telling them, did you do what you needed to do? I give you a perfect example. I've had groups of kids, and I do drills with them. Now, when it comes to some drills, they're all spectacular. They can all do the same thing, right? But then there's some drills that I'll add that I can tell that some kids have really been practicing it because they might not be making a shot, but you can see that it's a lot easier for them. And then the other kids are struggling like they've always struggled because they haven't been working. And then on top of that, when you have those kids to maybe go against each other, you can tell the kids that have been working on certain things because it looks crisper when they're playing against each other. And the ones that haven't, they still look the same as what they were, right? And I've seen that throughout the history of doing this. And that's the things I try to point out to the kids as well as the parents. If you want to get better, you gotta put in the time, because what happens is you start to see that this other kid that kid's either on your team or that kid's coming in, right before you, and you're seeing that kid's getting a lot better. But it's because that kid is actually working. Some kids are natural, so they're going to pick up on things a little bit faster. But it's mainly because of work. You're working to get better. You're trying to improve on your game. So that's usually how it goes. That's how it goes. Not usually. That's really how it goes. Success or failure is because it's not up to us. It's up to the kids, right? So if they work, they're going to see improvement. If not, they don't. It's as simple as it can be. So we do make great pains to let our kids and parents know about it, and ultimately, we have to have a discussion with them and say, look, I don't know if this is what I'm seeing. Have you seen A, B, and C? Are they practicing? Do you see them practicing? Because if not, you're spending money and time here, and your kid's not, helping you out. They have to do their part. And if they say that, sometimes when they'll say, well, they like coming here and stuff, and it's like, okay, we'll do it, and we have to explain to them, look, we're not angry, we're not mad. It's nothing like that. If you want to use a word, it might be maybe disappointment, because your effort here is really good. So you need to match that effort away from us. But then you'll have kids sometimes that come in and you can just tell. I had a kid came in, the dad dropped him off, oh, hey, I got to go to the store and stuff. So I'm doing the first part, and this kid body language is just bad. Like he doesn't want to do it. Like he wants to look at me and tell me to go blank myself, but he's probably not sure if I'm going to, pick him up and body slam him or something like that. I don't know what it is, but you could tell he's not happy to be there. So I stopped him and said, whose idea was it to come? Was it yours or your dad? My dad. I was like, okay. I said, so this isn't something that you want to do? He was like, no. I was like, okay, all right. So then the dad comes in, and, I stop and say, hey, he doesn't want to do this. And the dad has this look like, what do you mean? And I said, no, he doesn't want to do this. I said his body language was really bad when we started, so I had to stop and ask him if everything was okay. And then I asked him whose ideal it was, and Dad was like, "Oh, well, it was my ideal to bring him." I said, "Yeah, that's what he said." I said, "But did you even ask him if it was something he wanted to do?" He was like, "Well, no. I mean, I know he wants to play basketball." So I said, "Yeah, but some kids just want to play because they like they like going to get pizza after the game. They like the snacks. They like to practice with their friends and stuff. Some kids don't want to, want to be the best kid on the team." And the dad was kind of embarrassed. And he was like, "Well, I'm sorry, and I'll pay you for the time." I said, "You know what? This was just the first 15 minutes, so I'm not going to charge you for it." But I said, I think it's important to know that, now, and you don't continue to do it, putting your money into something that your kid really, really doesn't want to do. So, we have to make those decisions, and I'm so okay with it, because I tell kids and parents, hey, if I didn't care, I'd just tell you to keep practicing and charge you, and keep practicing and charge you. But I care a lot about what I do, and I care about the results. So it's important for me that they know, and they're trying to get better in whatever way possible. So if you're a parent and you have your kids in a sport, or you're trying to train them in something, make sure that make sure your kids are on board, and it's more their decision to do it than yours. And if they say they want to do it, then you'll see the effort. You'll see them out there practicing and stuff. All right. Well, I hope that helps. I wanted to share that. I always have those instances, but I don't know if I've talked about it. I probably have on like episode 4 and episode 26 and episode 42, and y'all gonna be going back like, "Damn, dog, why don't you talk about something else? You didn't hit this up like 4 times. Is this like a 6-part or 7-part series?" So look, we're gonna stop. We're gonna end it right there. I do want to mention that I will be taking a break after episode 75. So next week I'll have an episode, and then I'll be taking a break. I'm not sure if it's going to be like a week, 2 weeks, or a month. Don't worry, it's not gonna be where I'm gone until 2026 or 2025, like your favorite show, where you get to the end, the last episode, and it's the series finale, and I leave you on, cliffhanger, and you gotta wait till the following year. you know. Oh, I heard this joke. It was this old movie I saw, and I don't know why, but it's one of the funniest jokes I've ever heard, and it just made me think about it. It was one. It was the comedian with the bag over his head, and he's robbing a place. He's robbing a place, and he's like making his joke, and then he's talking to the people in there, trying to calm them down. So then he gets ready to leave, and he stops and he looks at him and he says, "Hey, how do you keep a room full of assholes in suspense?" And he paused to look and see if anybody was gonna say something, and he's like, "I'll tell you later." And then he leaves. And look, for the first 15 to 20 seconds after he said it, I was kind of like, well, why does he have to wait? Like, what's... And then I busted out laughing and said, okay, yeah, I get it now. I was younger. I was a lot younger. And I swear to this day, it is the funniest joke I've heard. I've heard a lot of great jokes. Maybe it's not the single most funniest joke I've ever heard. But every time I think of that joke, I just crack up. I'll never use that joke. Like, who are you gonna use it to? If you're at a family function and you're out there and you're talking to your aunts and uncles and you tell them that joke, yeah, nah, that's not gonna go over well. You can't tell it to kids. That's not gonna go over well. You can't tell it to friends at a barbecue. That's not gonna go over well. So yeah, I don't think I'll ever use that joke. But it was so funny because they were looking around at each other like, huh? What does that mean? And I'm like, wait a minute. And I was like, Oh, I get it. It was funny. Um, so yeah, no, I'm not gonna end like that, and then like you don't hear from me for like a year. So I'm thinking maybe a couple of weeks. I got, like I said, I got some things going, and I'm trying to uh get some things going, uh taken care of, and it's almost the end of summer. And I've been going hard every day of the summer, going in early. I probably should have took a break earlier since I knew I was going to be at the facility a lot. But I'm not anticipating a long break, and I'll probably post that, hey, we're going to be having a new episode next week, or a date or something. But I hope you've enjoyed this one, and you keep listening, or listen to some of the other ones. Maybe we'll throw a compilation or something like they do on the radio shows where the guy's out of town and you listen to the best of his stuff. I don't know. We'll look at something, but I always encourage you to like, subscribe, follow, and comment. Here's why. I'm gonna get off, but here's why. I'm your boy doing TikTok. Now, I'm just providing the content. I don't even have my password. It's being taken care of by my digital content person, right? They posted. I did a drill, and the drill, it was just basically a double move, how to get by a defender using a double move. Kind of the steps. I was kind of tutorial going through it, different double moves, footwork and stuff. Well, then I had somebody comment on that TikTok video. Hey, I'm sub viral. I'm not viral where it's millions, but I'm getting a lot of views on it, a lot of likes, lots of comments. Hey, you know what? I like that. I'm a demonstrate this with my team. On this particular one, I had someone comment and say, hey, I love that drill. I'm having problems finishing at the rim, right? Do you have a video for that? I was so excited. Like, okay, this is my first interaction with someone. So I created a video, and I had to go slow, obviously, because I'm kind of in pain, which is why I hadn't put out as much content, but I hope to tackle that soon. And it's like, okay, here's a video, and I did a video, and just kind of, without knowing all of the information, I wanted to know more information as far as what it was that we were working on, because I like to know situation. Are you running a play? Is this half court, full court? Are they in a zone or man? Where are you catching the ball? So I can basically have an image, a visual of where, if they're attacking, what they're going to see defensively. And that's how I'm able to help them to understand it, right? So didn't give me much. So I just said, okay, if I'm going into this blind, I said, if somebody's there, this is kind of how I would attack it. And, did the drill, showed them a couple of different ways, and they responded after the video. Thank you so much. This is so helpful. So I'm going to be interested. I'm going to have to maybe try to respond and say, hey, were you able to add that? Did it help? And create that dialogue. But I was really happy because, you do some things, and if it helps one person, then that's great. I don't need to have a million people. I mean, obviously it's good. It helps because then, you monetarily and stuff. But I just said to myself, if one person looks at this video and works on it and uses it, that's all that matters. You've helped one person that didn't know how to do it before, which means a lot. So yeah, your boy's on TikTok. I'm TikToking and stuff. I ain't doing all that extra stuff, but I'm gonna try to get my dogs to get in the triple threat. I'm working on that. And I do got video of the missus making a free throw or making a shot again. So I get to take credit for that, even though she did all the work. I'll take credit for that, because if you saw a jump shot, if you saw a shoot before, you'd be like, oh my God. Oh my God. Is that legal? It's like, no, don't give her a ball. Don't let her do anything. But yeah, no. Yeah, I might even have to have her on to discuss the brilliant training that I bestowed upon her to take her from what is this? Oh, this is a basketball. What does it do to, hey, I can make this shot. So I hope everything goes well. Y'all take care of each other. It's trying times right now. Look after each other and, be nice to each other, please. I'm going to end it like I always do. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it. I'm out.
Street cred sports, say it with your chest. Yeah. Go get it from the net. Street cred sports, okay, that's a bet.